No, I'm on now. I'm just going to go ahead and play the clip to start for those who have never gotten to see exactly what was broadcast on live television. So, okay. No volume.
Yeah, fix that. Start it off. Okay, we'll start.
I don't care what she says.
Oh, yes.
You can just play it right there. Yeah. No. Stop! Steve? No. Back.
As urgent rescue efforts continue in the wake of Oklahoma's killer tornado, here are the latest developments we're watching right now. The death toll is now at least 24, including 9 children.
Oh. Wow. Let's hope that that doesn't continue.
Who's gonna fix that?
I think you just ran the other one.
Here we go.
Urgent rescue efforts continue in the wake of Oklahoma's killer tornado. Here are the latest developments we're watching right now. The death toll is now at least 24, including 9 children. It was revised lower today after some early confusion. At least 237 people were injured. The storm, more than a mile wide, carved a path of destruction 17 miles long through the Oklahoma City suburbs, including in Moore, where I am reporting from right now. Throughout the disaster zone, at least 100 people have been pulled alive from the rubble. Officials say the search goes on board by board until every vehicle, every ruined structure is examined. They say not once, not twice, but 3 times. They didn't want to make any mistakes. Rebecca Vitsmun was prepared to ride out the tornado with her 19-year-old son, Anders, in the bathtub. 19-month-old son, excuse me, was not 19 years old. He's 19, and Rebecca is here. There's Anders. Anders, how do you feel right now? Say good.
Anders, can you say good? No.
Okay, he's a little shy right now. He's got that microphone. All right, so Rebecca, tell us what happened. You were at home. Your husband was away on the road, right?
He was on the interstate.
And you were in your house.
Yeah.
And you're not from this area.
I'm from Louisiana.
All right, so what did he say to you if there were a tornado? What did he say?
He and all the other Oklahomans always say, you stay in your home. You stay in your home. And, they always say, it never hits anybody. I've lived here my entire life. Never hits. And, you don't leave. And there's been times when I was pregnant with him, I was in the bathtub with a helmet on my head, crying and begging to leave. And he'd say, no, we're not going anywhere. And then it didn't hit us. And I was like, okay, maybe you're right. I don't know. But I never felt that way.
Sorry, so yesterday, around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you're home alone.
Yeah.
Right? And you got Anders and you, and what do you do?
Well, I've been watching the news all day, and it kept saying, oh, it's going to come at 6. Or it'll come, and then it even pushed it back, it's coming at 8. And so when I saw clouds outside, I was like, okay, why are there clouds? And then I looked, and then they started saying all the buzzwords that I'm used to hearing here. It's the hook, it's strengthening, it's feeding, and then they showed, so I immediately went and I got my tub and it had some water and I put a towel down and I went and grabbed his mattress and I brought it into the bathroom with us and I put the laptop there for us to watch what was going on, and then they showed it and they said that was 44, and then they showed its projection and it was like crossing my street, and whenever I saw it I just panicked. I just looked at it and I said, I'm not I'm not staying.
You
There's
were in
no.
the bathtub, you were lying in the bathtub with Anders.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your laptop, you're
It's like
streaming
it was
TV.
5 miles away.
5 miles away,
And they
so
said it's strengthening,
your
and it was
husband
on
is
the ground.
away.
I see debris flying in the air from this thing, and it's coming right for me. And I'm from Louisiana. We have hurricanes, and when they're big, you just leave, you know. And it was sort of like suddenly telling me, you know, there's a hurricane that's going to hit your house in 10 minutes, you know.
So what'd you do?
I ran. I didn't have any shoes on. I didn't grab anything. I was mad that I had to get keys. Like, I couldn't believe I had to get my keys. That was
To
so.
the car.
Yeah, it was so frustrating to have to get keys. You know, I just wanted to leave, and I didn't even put him in his car seat, and I just put him in my lap, and I kept thinking, they're never gonna pull me over. You know, why would they do that?
You just started driving.
I just drove. I drove, but I started feeling guilty that he was in my lap. I was just like, this is a bad decision. So I got him out just past the high school when I pulled over, and I went to put him in his car seat, but the winds were so hard that it was like blowing him sideways. And
So it was like torrential out there. It was raining. It was.
this was at least a half a mile away from my house, and it was windy like that. So I just shoved him in his car seat and clicked the top, and then went another mile, and then went and fixed his car seat.
And you saw the tornado?
Yeah.
How far was the tornado from where you were?
About 2 miles.
And so you were just trying to drive in the opposite direction?
Yeah, I drove south because it was going northeast. So
And that's
just
it?
drove south.
And you just drove away
And
as
then
fast as you could?
Yeah, and then I just sat there, and then I said, and then I realized that my cats were at the house, you know, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to go back. I gotta see if they're okay.
How long did you sit before you made that U-turn and went back?
Oh, no, 15 minutes.
Now, your husband is away. He's on the interstate.
He was closer.
And did you have a cell phone with you already?
No, we don't even own cell phones because we've decided not to catch up with the modern age.
So your husband's, he thinks you're at home.
He thinks I'm there.
He thinks you're inside the house in the bathroom.
Yeah, and he actually, I knew we were safe, so I stayed in the traffic to get back because everybody is trying to go back. And then I didn't have shoes, but I found some heels in my back seat, and I threw those on, so I had to kind of tiptoe all the way back. It took me forever, maybe 45 minutes.
All right, so you get back to your house.
Yeah.
And what do you see?
I mean, he's just searching for us.
Your
My
husband.
husband's
He's there.
on top
The
of it.
house is what?
Nothing. I'm this.
The house looks like this.
I mean, just like this.
So,
There's less standing. Like those chairs are standing. We don't have
and
anything.
your husband thinks you and Anders are inside.
Well, he found a towel.
We're going to show our viewers a picture of the house.
He found a towel on the bottom of the bathroom, and he found the mattress like next to it. So he knew that that's what I do. That's like the thing we do. And then the helmet. He remembered that I put on a helmet and cried last time. So he found Andrew's helmet, and he didn't know what to think.
So he thought you were inside.
He watched it hit,
And he thought you were dead.
yeah.
He thought Anders was dead.
Yeah.
And that you were underneath that rubble.
Yeah, I mean, the car, was gone, but our neighbor's car was like on our house, so there's no reason to think that my car couldn't have just been somewhere else.
I mean, it's like cars were flying around as if they were nothing during this 200-mile-an-hour tornado, when you think about what's going on. All right, so obviously he sees you at one point. He's home.
I screamed. I just screamed at the top of
Tell
my
us,
lungs.
describe that scene.
As soon as I didn't know he would be there. There's no reason for me to have thought he would be there, especially before me. I mean, I just went down the road and came back. But he had ran from his car to try to get there, and whenever I screamed, I just went, Brian! Brian! And he just ran up, and then we both cried and hugged, and it was actually really cute, because when we all three hug, Anders always says, aw.
He does.
And we just burst into tears. It was awesome.
Anders, he talks a lot, but he's pretty shy right now.
He's
likes that microphone.
preoccupied. He just needs something to...
Yeah, I think he's happy, a happy little guy.
Yeah.
And you're a happy young lady.
I couldn't be happier.
You survived.
I saw the bathtub.
I mean, when you think about it, if you would have stayed in that house...
No, there's no way. Our bathtub was full of debris. Like, the place I would have been was just full of, 2x4s and everything else, There's nothing. There's no way. And that's hard to think about.
Anders, I'm going to train you now to become an anchorman, okay?
Oh, try,
he doesn't want to
try
let
to
go.
pry it from him.
It's strong. You're going to hold it like this. You put it in front of your mouth and look into the camera over there, Anders.
Can you say hi?
And say, I'm Anders and this is Sienna. Can you say that?
Can you say, how old are you? No, he's not going to say anything. Can you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. No.
He's a shy little guy.
Not today.
Oh, he said it. Okay, good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Shake hands.
Yeah, shake his hand. Can you high five? No. No?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Such a sweet little guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're blessed.
Yeah.
Brian, your husband, is blessed. Anders is blessed.
Brian, he just, Brian.
Brian, you like Brian, huh? That's your dad. Well, we're happy you're here. You guys did a great job. And I guess you got to thank the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Do you thank the Lord for that split-second decision?
I'm actually going to anything else.
Oh, you are? All right.
And you know, I don't blame anybody for thanking the Lord.
Of course not.
So.
Hey, all right, Anders, want to try one more time? Okay. All right, good for you.
Oh no.
We're happy. We're so happy that you're happy. A nice story.
You see the balls.
The bowling balls. All right, he's 18 months old, and he's going to have a happy life.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca, thank you.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
Ryan, too.
Yeah.
What a nice story. A happy ending to an excellent, excellent story. We have more stories, though, not all of them as happy as Rebecca's story ahead. We're going to hear from the family of 2 children. They say a daycare operator, also nothing less than a hero after what they went through. We'll share the details right after this.
Your baby. Okay, so I'm just gonna warn you guys, I haven't been able to get through the first part without crying. So just bear with me, I'm gonna get through it, and then we'll move on to the rest of the presentation. But anyway, I wanted to start off by giving you guys some perspective. Maybe I'll get through it without crying. I'm hopeful. So this was my neighborhood, right there where you see the A, that's my house. We could always tell on maps which house was ours because beside it was this easement. You can see there's no space beside it. Well, all the other homes have no yard to speak of. That morning, around 10, I decided, like I do on a lot of mornings, to take Anders for a bike ride. I had a little Ibert seat. It sits in the front. He can ring the bell. I drove down my street. I drove to Plaza Towers Elementary School, like I do every time I go for a bike ride. And that day they had, I think it was parent-teacher conferences because there are a lot of cars there. So, you know, all the parents were coming out, families, you know, but they weren't coming out with their kids, they were coming out with papers. So I think it was pretty clear that they were there for conferences. I continued on to the park that I would take Anders to bi-weekly. We stopped for a little while and then we turned back and, you know, we came back home and then proceeded with the rest of our day, which you've kind of heard about a little bit before, but this was my home. Other than the bushes in the front and the tree, which we took those down in 2011. This is a picture from Google Maps. They just haven't updated in a while. But whenever I got into my car that day, this is what it looked like. Sorry. This is the part where I cry. But I remember thinking that it might be the last time that I see my home. So I kind of said goodbye, like in my mind, but I didn't believe that it was really happening. It's not every day that something like this suddenly is happening. And as you heard on the thing, they kept telling us it was coming later and later. I didn't expect it. I had 30 minutes where I was trying to figure things out. Actually, it was 30 minutes from, I had spoken to my mom 30 minutes before it happened, telling her, oh no, don't worry about me, 8 o'clock. And so whenever I was driving down the road, and it was coming, I remember actually telling Anders, I was like, Anders, Mommy just saved our lives. And I didn't believe that that was true. I was just saying it because I had been panicking and I wanted to keep him calm. I just wanted to make sure that he just felt like everything was normal, but I also wanted to talk about what was going on internally. So What I didn't say on the interview was I actually parked the car. I got about 2 miles away whenever it became clear that it was behind me now, or not going to hit where I was. And I got out and I turned around and I looked. And there was just this giant black wall. It doesn't look like a tornado. It spanned everything that I could see from that 2 mile perspective. And so I looked in front of me and I remember thinking, I couldn't process that it was hitting my house. That was absolutely impossible to process. Instead, it was like, is it in front of my house? Is it behind it? I mean, I can't tell. It kind of looks like, what's it doing? And as I drove back, it was about a mile away from my house whenever I couldn't drive anymore because there were telephone poles down, and I thought, oh, maybe it hit in front of my house. So I parked the car, and that's whenever I started tiptoeing in my heels, which is why it took so long. So I was walking, and I got to the corner of my neighborhood, and I looked over, and I could see for a mile, but I still wouldn't accept it. I looked, and I'm just like, well, how far away is my street? Like, I could see for a whole mile, so it was very clearly hit my street in retrospect, but I couldn't accept that, so I kept walking. I got to the cross street. Our street was across from a cross street, so you could always tell where we were, and I was standing there for literally a couple of minutes, sitting there saying, like, this is the cross street. Okay, so this is the cross street, so that means, I turned in slow motion, and that's whenever I understood that it really happened. This is what happened in my house. That car does not belong to us. But I mean, it was clear almost immediately that I made the right call. But it was also, I had just said goodbye to my house. It wasn't there. So, this was my neighborhood. You can see my house has the easement in the middle. And what you're looking at here are only 20 homes. Almost 1,200 homes were destroyed in about 30 minutes. So, in looking at this though, the first thing that you feel is shock, complete shock. But then it just becomes like, this is a massive deal. What? I have no idea what to do. It took a couple of days before they would even let us back. They had to check all the homes. As Wolf Blitzer said, they had to check and recheck, make sure that they got all of the people out, make sure they got all the bodies out. But after that, they started letting us go back, and that's whenever all of the volunteers started to arrive. Thousands of volunteers were arriving. They were just everywhere. It was amazing to see just all of these people show up. And there was a day, shortly thereafter, a group arrived at our house and asked us if we needed help. So just this strange group of 15 people who were all wearing matching t-shirts that were from Church of Christ showed up at my house and were like, we're here to help you. We'll work as hard as we can for as long as you need us. And we were like, thank you. Wonderful. And so, after hours of spending time with these people, I started to ask them questions because I suddenly found out, like, somebody was from Memphis, 2 of them were from Virginia, somebody was from Nashville, but they were all inside of my house as a cohesive group wearing the same t-shirt. And I thought, how did this happen? You guys, how did this happen? You have to tell me what happened here. And the person from Memphis was like, well, I was available and I knew that I had the time and I wanted to come and help. I knew that you guys needed as much help as you could get. So I talked, my church was looking for people who might be interested, and I told them that I was, and they said that there was somebody along my trip in Memphis at another one of our churches, and I was going to pick them up, and we were going to keep on going, and, we got together with the church here, and they had shirts, and, here we are. And I was like, okay, well, where's everybody staying? Well, what's going on here? And they were staying in the congregation's houses. They were sleeping in tents in their backyards. They were sleeping in tents in the front of, like, Home Depot. They were just everywhere. And so Joe Klein, you guys know Joe Klein, is right? He came out with that, which is false. It is false, but it's also true in some ways. I'll let you guys read it for a minute, but I'll keep talking. So right here he says, funny how you don't see organized groups of secular humanists giving out hot meals. Okay, that's false. There were secular humanists out there. They were organized. They didn't have matching shirts. That's one thing. But there were organized groups. The thing that was different is these groups were all local and they were completely disjointed. We had maybe 4 or 5 different local groups all doing their own thing and helping out and everything. But people who were coming in from the secular community were not getting involved with these groups. Instead, they would just go to local church. They didn't really know what else to do. So they would go to a church and just be like, hi, I'm here. I'm going to help you guys. And not mention their secularism because they were afraid because they're at a church. And, you know, so what I started to think about was there's no reason why we shouldn't have this. This is very, very, very important. If we want this world to move forward where we don't have religion in it, we have to have this system in place where we have people coming from around the country. Did you see the destruction? Just that small picture of 20 houses, only a 60th of what this tornado did. There's no way to do it without massive amounts of people coming from all different places and coming together and handling it. So, so I started talking to my friends about this. I didn't want to let it go. I'm not going to drop it. It's too important for me to let go because we have to have these systems in place because crises are going to happen again. Or crises are going to happen. We're going to have destruction. It's inevitable. It's just, you know, roll of the dice, probability. It's going to happen eventually. You know? So we have to be prepared. So I started talking to a friend of mine about, I don't know, starting my own thing, starting a charity. I didn't know what I could do. And she said, she was actually the president, or she's the founder of the secular parenting group in Oklahoma City. She said, well, Dale McGowan is coming from the Foundation Beyond Belief. He's going to be here in just 2 weeks, and he's going to give a presentation at Free OK, which is the Oklahoma Free Thought Conference. And then he was going to be doing a workshop for parents right after that. And I knew that, but I didn't understand what she was getting at. And she's like, well, he's the founder of Foundation Beyond Belief. And this is kind of the thing that they do. And so I found him. I started reading up about Foundation Beyond Belief. And, you know, they didn't actually have anything like the thing I was talking about. They had Volunteers Beyond Belief, where they have their Beyond Belief network, and they try to get them in touch with local volunteer opportunities so that the groups can start going out to the community and doing these kinds of things. And they also had, they also had the humanist crisis response, and they were helping in Oklahoma. They were helping by giving money to the local food bank and things that could give back inside of Oklahoma, but they weren't yet trying to get people to come together. So after talking to Dale McGowan, he told me to get in touch. He really loved the idea, and it actually sounded like something they were kind of working on very slowly behind the scenes, called the Humanist Service Corps. But what we ended up Skyping for quite a while. With me, Noelle, and Brittany, Foundation Beyond Belief, and I started telling them my experience and how, you know, first they explained to me that their idea was to have it similar to the Beyond Belief network. They would get in touch with these groups and say, hey, groups, we need you guys to come, we have a crisis, you know, come and help out. And I said, you know, what would really be beneficial because of the atheist community being the way it is to have individuals have this opportunity to sign up for this. Because we have groups all over the place. Some of them are Beyond Belief Network. Some people don't want to be part of an organized thing, but they might want to come and help if they could. I told them, you know, I think that you need to set it up so that people can get in touch with, move forward. So the first couple of things, yeah, that you'll find is that you need to know where they're willing to go. Some people are willing to go anywhere. Some people have very flexible schedules. They can take off and they want to. They just want to be a part of it. Some people are only interested in doing in their own state, and that's fine. I mean, you get to set up exactly what you're comfortable with doing, and you can do it on an individual basis. And the next thing would be what roles are you able to fill, because there are some people who wouldn't be interested in actually going out, but they could do something from their own homes. They could put together packages. We had so many people come and, these theists were just driving down our streets, and they're just like, hey, is this your home? Okay, have a tote. And the tote had food, and it had water, and batteries, flashlights, tarps. And we had all of these things inside of the tote. Very useful things. And it was just like, holy crap, this is amazing. And so, but people could do that anywhere. You could do that from anywhere. You could also have people who are willing to ship it. If there's one person within a group who's willing to bring it out, they could just have the totes made and then drive them out and then just go down the block. I mean, this isn't difficult. This is something that everybody can do. Whenever it comes to roles, though, I had a very specific one that was close to my heart that I wanted to make sure people understood was important, and that was victims advocates. As I was going through all of this, I can't even begin to tell you where your brain is. At the beginning, I went to, my mom called me and she said, what do you need? And my response was, I don't need anything. I was totally delusional. I needed everything. What did she want from me? So she was just like, do you have underwear? And I said, no. She's like, you need that. Go get that. And I went to get underwear, and I'm going to tell you, I failed. I went to the store, I went into a Walmart. I never even shop at Walmart, but I was there, and I stood in front of the underwear section for 10 minutes, not being able to understand what I was doing there. Like, I just had my mouth open. I was just like, okay, underwear. Yeah, I think I get Hanes. I like this shade purple. Yeah. It took a while, and then eventually I brought it back. I opened it, and they were this big. My husband said, you could fit 4 of you in there. And I was like, I didn't remember you needed sizes. That didn't occur to me. And so it would have been nice to have somebody who could just have a list of things that human beings need and say, hey, what size underwear do you wear? Okay. Another thing that I wasn't very good at is eating. People would bring food. Yeah, we had plenty of food. Everybody's delivering food. Here's food. Everybody's got food. But eating was not a priority. There were millions of things that needed to be done instantly. And I couldn't bring myself to stop until 6 p.m. would roll around, and I was ready to pass out. I was so hungry. I'd been working nonstop all day in the heat. And I couldn't remember that food was important. And it would have been nice to have somebody there who said, it's 10, you haven't eaten anything, come sit down with us. Sit down, you need to eat. Another role that's very important is I don't feel as though, especially, not especially, for anybody, including the theists, I don't feel like it's your turn during this victim's crisis. This is about them. This whole thing was about me. I had lost everything. Just everything. My brain was everywhere. It's not your turn to proselytize. It's not your turn to try to convert somebody. It's not your turn to try to pray with an E on these people. And it's not ours either. Like, if we're going out and they're Catholic, leave them alone. Don't sit there and say, well, where was your God now? This is not the time. Like, you can do that on your own time. This is their time. This is a crisis. That is wrong. I had people come to my house, and there were 2 women. We were sitting there. We were taking pictures of my son. I was trying to take as many pictures as I could of the things that were left. And I'm sitting there going through my child's belongings. And they said, so what church do you go to? Which is fine. That's fine. They asked me that. Whatever. It's not really fine, but they asked that, and okay. And I said, oh, I didn't want to drop an A-bomb on these 50-year-olds, so I said, oh, I don't go to church. And then one of them was mad. She says, you're raising that baby without Jesus? And I was like, yeah. And she spent the next 30 minutes trying to convert me while I'm sitting there trying to go through my son's, Mommy's my baby, and sitting there telling me how horrible I am for doing this to my child. And I'm just like, I really wanted to help them. And so I wasn't strong enough to tell her to, like, GTFO. Instead, I let her get by with it. And it would have been nice to have somebody to just go and be the jerk. Like, I needed somebody to be the jerk for me. I was just not strong enough. I was weak. And that's what these victims are. They're weak. It's not a time to sit there and hurt them. So, so the two major things is to make sure that the victim is respected. There was another thing, whenever we had all of those people in our house, I showed a picture of them a minute ago, there were only a couple of times that I could say, look, this is our stuff. I know that it doesn't mean anything to you, but you know, while you're shoveling it, if it's not shingles and it's not insulation, just put it in a pile and I'll go through it, because you know what? Out of 50 toys, maybe one of them means something to me. And if it made it through, I want to have it. I just wanted to keep these little bitty tokens, because I wasn't going to get to keep anything. You know, I really lost everything, every object I've ever cared about. You know, it's just stuff, blah, blah, blah. But a couple of those things hurt. And so it would have been nice to have somebody to go and say, hey, if you can remember, just come and put it in a pile. Hey, right there, you're putting that in the dumpster, that stuff, hey, come on. Just to be on top of it, because there's only so long that I was strong enough to say it, and then I just was at their mercy. I was just, I lost, you know, so much more than I even needed to. Okay, so finally, what I was talking about before, remote roles. You can do a lot of things from your house for these people. You can put together packages. You can send things. You can find out what is needed, and through the foundation, they can actually tell you what is needed. And then once you can tell them what you can provide, then they can form an avenue for you to get it where you need to go. What's very interesting about the Foundation Beyond Belief, they already have a program called Helping Hands. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about that slide. This is where you can find information on the Humanist Service Corps. You can find it if you want to write it down. You can. I'll leave it up for a second. And I actually have it listed in a moment. FoundationBeyondBelief.org/BBN for Beyond Belief Network. Okay. So they have a program called Helping Hands. Helping Hands was made specifically to provide non-monetary support to those who need it. It doesn't matter if you lost your house or if you lost your job. If you're just down on your luck and you're in our community and you need help that isn't financial, such as food or just a ride, honestly, anything that you can think of that you would need in that circumstance, if you're going through a divorce, just any of these negative life circumstances, that's what Helping Hands was created to provide. Well, because of this, though, I was speaking to them about these bags, these totes, things like this. This is a perfect opportunity for Helping Hands. This would be amazing use of it because it provides the support, and so as people are getting these items together, you don't necessarily need to provide the funds yourself. Funds can be coming in from anywhere in our community. They can just come in, and then people who are willing to put forth the time can go and then be reimbursed for what they've purchased through Helping Hands. Underneath Helping Hands, I do have a pet project, though. It's called the Rainbow Lion Initiative. This is very important to me. Anders, whenever he was having trouble sleeping as a baby, I eventually was reading online, like you do, and they said that maybe it would help him sleep better if I put a toy into front of him. And so eventually I was like, okay, I've got to try this, Well, I was looking through my stuffed animals, and the only one I had was this god-awful lion. It's crazy looking. It's the thing nightmares are made of. Like, do you see the eyes of that thing? It's terrifying, but he latched onto this thing immediately. We couldn't go anywhere without Rainbow Lion. He nursed with it, he slept with it. We couldn't leave the house without Rainbow Lion. We wouldn't call it Yayan, you know. So eventually that thing became disgusting. So I got him a second one, and look at him, look at his face that we discovered there's 2 Rainbow Lions. You can see one kind of in the background. Anyway, this was his life. Rainbow Lion made the world go round. And so, you know, immediately after the tornado, though, Rainbow Lion's gone. Everything is gone. Like, he lost his sense of security. He lost his safety. And we tried, you know, people donated this stuffed animal. It's not the same. People donate a lot of stuffed animals, but to a child, nothing can replace the safety or security of that object. That means more to my son than anything else in the world besides me and my husband. And so, so I tried to find one almost immediately, and I couldn't. They stopped making Rainbow Lion the year Anders was born, and it's so god-awful ugly. You couldn't find one online. I searched, and then eventually I just gave it to my friends, and just like, oh my gosh, find Rainbow Lion. Somebody help me. So they took to Reddit, and they're just like, here's a picture. Come on, Reddit, let's do this. And so, meanwhile, Anders is going downhill very quickly. He's crying nonstop all day long. This is not like him at all. He's begging for me to find Rainbow Lion. He's arching his back and screaming. He woke up every hour crying and crying. And I was able to, they were able to find one. They sent it to him. They had actually 2 in the box. And that night was the first night that he was able to sleep. That night. So, sorry. But, so the Rainbow Lion Initiative is coupled with Helping Hands and also through the victims advocates. Whenever they go out, we want them to very specifically ask if there are children, and also if they're adults, because adults too sometimes have this object that means the world to them. And it's okay for an adult to say, hey, my blankie's gone, help me, you know, if that's what they have. But the Rainbow Lion Initiative is specifically saying, do you have an object that means something to you that you need us to find? And through Helping Hands, we're hoping to reunite people with those objects. So, again, everything on this project you can find on foundationbeyondbelief.org/BBN. And then, again, this is all new. All this stuff, the site was put up yesterday. This is all new. And there can be bugs. We want it to be improved. If you have any ideas, if anything struck you in some way that you didn't like or you do like and you want to add to this, it's so important that we grow this in our community, because as we become larger and larger, we have to feel, it's not about saying, oh, Christians do this, so we need to do it too. It's because it's a need. We have to do this. This is absolutely essential. Okay. So do I have time for questions? I don't know.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But she'll be around all weekend. And I'm sure she'll be swamped.
Hi. Oh, this is my baby.
Rebecca, how's your family doing now?
Slow process. Very slow.
Do you have a house?
We're in a rental, and yeah.
We have stuff to do, sorry.
Yeah, sorry I talked a while, I didn't realize.
Due to her heroic and fantastic performance, Atheist Alliance has decided to come up with a new award called the Grace Under Pressure Award. If anybody deserves it, this lady does. We're not going to make it an annual award. It's only going to be for extremely exceptional performances like this lady had. So what I'd like to do is present to Rebecca. Atheist Alliance of America honors Rebecca Vitsmun for exceptional grace under pressure in showing the nation her friendly but firm atheism and her personal strength in a nationally televised interview, presented on this 31st day of August, 2013.
Thank you.
But there were two people who impressed the country in that interview. And Anders doesn't read very well yet. He does read a little, but we know, we saw the interview, so we know what he likes for an award. He has a microphone.
Anders!
Anders!
Anders, do you want this? Look! Do you want it? Can you say hi? That's for you. Is that for me? You'll like it later. When he realizes what it does, he'll be excited.
So, now, yeah, you like that? Okay, and I know we just unwrapped it, so I don't think it has batteries yet.
Okay.
But we'll get them.
Yeah?
Yeah, you like that?
Does it look like,
Yellow?
does it look like, what color is that? Do you know what color that is? He knows all his colors. He's so excited.
And he knows the difference between a real microphone and a guitar, and he wants this one. So, thank you very much for everything. I think we've all been moved and inspired.
I will say, we had the event posted on the Atheist Alliance of America website, or on our Facebook page. And the day that we announced that she was coming, our hit went through the roof. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody wanted to meet her. So, you are our hero.
Now, I'm going to introduce our final, well, Seth will close, but our final actual event of the day. The Atheist Alliance is getting back to basics, and the two men who are most involved in changing our course, and this is exciting.
Oh yeah, that's
Conway and Richard. Where's Richard? Richard Haynes. So we have just a few minutes for them to explain our new program and possibly answer some questions. We have to be out of here at 5 unless a prospective bride and groom break up at the last minute.
All right, thank you, guys.